Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypno-coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you want to know more about my professional work, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Today I want to talk about the importance of a sense of humor, and I want to start with a completely true story. In my denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association, there are two organizations for ministers. One, the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, is exclusively for ordained persons, most of whom work in parish settings. The other is the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministries. It's open to anyone who is engaged in religious service, ordained or laity. Most of the members are community ministers like myself, which means that we work beyond the walls of the local congregation and serve the wider secular community. We're school faculty, counselors, hypnotists, lobbyists, community workers, and so on. Now, from 2010 to 2016, I was the president of the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministries, serving 2 terms in office, which is the maximum allowed. I was recruited by the nominating committee because they felt the organization needed someone who would stand up to the larger denomination, and so they needed someone who had a long-standing and well-established ministry, and I had that. I had a good time. It was a pleasant act of service. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I am not a soft person. I don't give my time to talking about feelings and process. I'm about getting things done. So some of the other directors who are more process-oriented didn't quite know what to make of me, but the organization was prospering, and so everyone left well enough alone. Now, the board meetings were on the first Wednesday of each month, and in 2015, the first Wednesday was April 1st, April Fool's Day. Now, let me say out front that the directors of the organization were great people that I worked with. They were dedicated. They were, on the whole, fun to work with. But I did believe that some of them took themselves a little too seriously. And as both a board-certified chaplain and a hypnotist, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. So as the April board meeting was on April Fool's Day, I decided to play a prank. The board had been busy preparing for our denomination's General Assembly. This is a huge meeting with many events, classes, and special services. Related organizations would set up tables in an exhibit hall where they'd pass out literature, buttons, and other convention swag and goodies. Purely as an April Fool's joke, I suggested that we should give out Whoopee Cushions. Now, these are balloon-like cushions that make a farting sound when someone sits on them. They're an old joke from vaudeville days when comedians used to slip them under people just as they sat down. Well, I found a company that made Whoopee Cushions and would let you customize them. So I got a quote on ordering 1,000 in the Society's custom lilac theme color, and also in the soft yellow color that our denomination used for its signature On the Side of Love campaign. And they would come branded with the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministries logo. I joked that they would be a fantastic thing for us to give away in the exhibit hall. Then I announced that a donation to cover the cost of these Whoopee Cushions had been offered, so there would be no budgetary impact and therefore no need for board approval. Now, I was telling a soft fib on that part, as the offer of a donation came from me, but I was serious that insofar as this went forward, I would pony up the dough if it actually did go forward, although I didn't expect it to. I said the people who attend the General Assembly every year would love these whoopee cushions, because such people do tend to be a little different from the people who customarily sit in the pews of our churches. Within an hour, these cushions would be all over the General Assembly, I remarked. And every time one of them loudly went off, everyone would think about our organization, I said. So I sent the blank order form out to the board, jokingly suggesting that we would discuss it at the meeting that night. And then I hinted on a plan to smuggle one of the cushions on stage to put on the chair of the president of the denomination during the keynote address. Now, I figured we'd all get a chuckle out of this, because surely everyone would realize that it was a joke. Nope. The other directors thought I was absolutely serious. What's with these people? I said to myself. Is the problem that none of them have a calendar and they don't realize that it's April Fool's Day? I really don't like this idea, one director emailed to the board. So I doubled down on that. Hey, no one has ever accused me of being a nice person. And so I responded as if the comment had been one of approval rather than of concern. I expressed my delight that the director understood how helpful our whoopee cushion idea would be, and prattled on about the return on investment we received from such a clever maneuver. Now, behind the scenes, the directors were all emailing each other, trying to figure out some way to stop me from pursuing this harebrained idea. They didn't intend that I'd see those emails, but typically someone hits reply all or reply to group, and the email would show up in my computer, so I saw them. So I'm sitting there wondering when these people would catch on and realize this was an April Fool's Day joke, and that no sane clergy person would suggest distributing whoopee cushions at an important denominational meeting. Finally, one of the directors figured it out and sent out a "wait a minute" email and asked me directly if the whole thing was a joke. Of course it was. And I suggested that everyone take a moment to look around and discover where they had left their senses of humor. Now, I'm sharing this story as a way of illustrating the importance of having a sense of humor. As I often say, life is far too serious to take seriously. Let me explain that. Mark Twain put it well when he said that, quote, "Humor is the great thing, the saving thing after all. The minute it crops up, all of our hardnesses yield, all our irritations and resentments flit away, and a sunny spirit takes its place," unquote. He was absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. As far as science can tell, looking at fossil skull sizes and the like, our bodies stopped evolving when we harnessed fire and invented clothing. Therefore, our nervous systems developed to deal with the social pressures of a Neolithic campsite. However, while our biological evolution has stalled, our social evolution has continued and accelerated. Our lives are now so complex that our biological wiring cannot keep up with the pressure. And everywhere, stress-related conditions, physical and emotional, are proliferating. And we see the results. People crack under the pressure. They self-medicate. They act out. Antidepressant medications outsell Tylenol and aspirin combined. In 1966, the Rolling Stones performed a song called "Mother's Little Helper," Part of the lyrics go, "Kids are different today, I hear every mother say. Mother needs something today to calm her down. And although she's not really ill, there's a little yellow pill. She goes running for the shelter of her mother's little helper, and it helps her on her way, gets her through her busy day." Well, it isn't only mothers who run to that pill, or worse. Of all the coping mechanisms we have to deal with stress naturally, humor is the most effective. Being able to chuckle about things that you can't control or influence is one way to remind your unconscious mind that there are limits to our responsibilities and duties, and that it's okay to just let some things pass. Humor helps us blow off steam, it releases stress, which is why a well-intentioned joke always goes over well at a wedding reception or a memorial service. Both the ancient philosophers, Plato and Aristotle, wrote about what they called superiority theory. That is, if we can poke fun at something, we indirectly suggest to ourselves that we're really above it. And that's a better antidepressant than any pill. Physically, we know that humor causes changes in the brain, releasing catecholamine levels which enhance mental function, boosting immunity, setting free endorphins which calm and comfort us. But perhaps the old Reader's Digest tagline still holds, "Laughter is the best medicine." It is, because life is too serious to take seriously. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject, and I'd like to invite you to join me. It does help me if you let others know about my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. If I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through email, my website, or my Patreon channel. Stay well and stay safe.